evening, everyone. I'm David Johnson, Transform Ed Consulting. And let me give a shout out to my dear friend and colleague, Cassandra Williams, who is the brains behind Educational Innovation 360 Degrees. She allows us to use her channel. And you see there the list of services that Transform Ed Consulting provides and the list of services that Cassandra Williams provides. It's my pleasure this evening to have as our guest Michelle Fennick. How are you, Michelle?
I am fantastic, and I'm so excited to be on this incredible platform and
Well, we're
unpack
excited to
this.
have you here because I know you have a fountain of information to give us. You're going to give us a lot of knowledge tonight. Well, tell us about yourself. Where are you in the world?
I'm in Houston, Texas, and I'm a native Texan.
Well, great. Well, let me read your bio here. Michelle Fennick, PhD. Shares her expertise with others by facilitating workshops at public speaking events and by serving on a range of educational committees and boards. So I saw that I wasn't in the system, so I had to go back and plug myself in. Oh, such a disruption, and I hope all things go well from this point forward.
Yes.
Michelle, tell us about yourself. You come from a family of educators.
I do, and I consider it a great blessing, David. I'm from a long line of educators, starting with my grandfather, who had a business school and taught young women how to type so that they could be secretaries and earn income. My grandmother, a non-traditional student, starting at 33, where she completed her bachelor's, went on to get her master's at Texas Southern University, and still taught 33 years. And then my beautiful, dear mother, being an innovator and a bilingual educator, a celebrated educator, earning the distinction of Teacher of the Year, Bilingual Educator of the Year in a very large school district here in Texas, the Houston Independent School District. And then my father coaching and teaching history at Ryan Middle School, which is in 4th Ward in the Houston area. So I have a large number of educators in my family, and so I draw from their experiences to make sure that I'm adding to the field of education as a thought leader, as an educator, and as a trainer.
Well, Michelle, we know what you're doing now. Tell us how you got here.
Oh, fantastic. So I started, I want to say 30 years ago as a teaching assistant. I worked with 2 really wonderful ESL teachers, and I was their teaching assistant. From there, I was mentored by the dynamic women at that campus who said, "Hey, young lady, you need to get to college and you need to get your degree." By chance, a Head Start program opened, and I was able to place my daughter in the Head Start and complete my education. From there, I taught in elementary and middle school. I was a coach, an athletic coach of soccer, track, and basketball. I've been an assistant principal, a school support officer, which is someone who hires principals, trains principals, coaches principals, and then work in higher ed, working with aspiring principals now. And I'm also an educational consultant and doing some keynote speaking and some executive coaching.
Hmm. And you're an author. What are the topics on which you would write?
So the topics that I have written on thus far have been topics that empower women and really push them to have alignment in their lives. One of the things that I have found working with school principals, especially some of our women, is that they take on so much that the lack of balance sometimes can create burnout. It can create resentment towards the job. And so I really work to help them implement structures to balance home and life and be gentle with themselves so that they can have a full cup, so that they can lead their campuses successfully and they can pour into individuals and not be depleted. And so I
Hmm.
spent a lot of time writing and researching that topic because wellness is key for our leaders. Everything that the leader is feeling, everything that they are experiencing, if they're under a lot of stress, that stress is felt by the students.
Hmm.
It's felt
Well,
by the
would those be
teachers.
the topics that you would engage in your speaking activities?
Absolutely.
Oh.
Absolutely. I don't steer away from that because this work is all encompassing. And I
Hmm.
share that every time I'm given an opportunity. We, as educators, whatever is going on in the world, it does end up in the schools. And so we have to be able to address it and to address it properly and address it with the energy that it deserves. We have to be aligned. We have to be taking care of ourselves. We have to rest. We have to, we also have to be good stewards of the things that we're responsible for at home. And
Hmm.
so I do emphasize those things.
Well, Michelle, I can chat with you forever, but we have a topic to discuss tonight, leading with the three C's: communication, credibility, and culture. And we have five topics: the
Yeah.
importance and impact of effective communications, mechanisms and tools to gauge school climate and culture, strategies to strengthen school climate and culture, resilient and self reflective practitioner best practices, structures to ensure personal and professional accountability. Where would you like to start?
We can start with the first bullet, the impact of the effective communicator.
Okay. Well, what is the impact of being an effective effective communicator? I'm not being very effective right now, am I?
You are being very effective. And to that point, the impact is absolutely crucial. Everything emanates from that communication. Everything that leader is communicating is felt by the entire organization and it's transferable. Yes, I work with school leaders, but this works in any organization. And I learned this process as a principal myself. My communication, I felt
Mhm.
that I was a dynamic communicator. I loved communication. I took a lot of public speaking courses in high school because it was an area that I really enjoyed. I took a lot of public speaking classes in college. And so I thought if I honed my skills on articulation, if I honed my skills on vocabulary, if I honed my skills on knowing various statistics and quotes, I would be a dynamic speaker. However, communication is so much more than the words that we say. And I even want to add with you, I have a book here. It's called Strictly Business Body Language. And I have some statistics here. Only 7% of our verbal words are what people perceive in our communication. A 55% comes from our nonverbal. And so I had to learn that as a principal.
Um, Very interesting. Nonverbal communications. So, what do things say? If I have my arms folded, what does that say? When I have
Oh,
my head in my hands, what does that say? What are my nonverbal communications saying?
so your nonverbals speak volumes. And again, people are paying more attention to your intonation, They're paying more attention to how you're moving, the arms being folded, closing you off, that you really don't care, the wrinkle that I can get in my forehead, that I'm really serious or frustrated. All of those things people are paying attention to more than the words that are coming out of my mouth. And so we have to be, when we're leaders, we have to be cognizant of that. We have to take a look, check in, and look at our audience, gauge our audience, gauge the energy of our audience.
Mm-hmm.
Stop for a moment. I remember when I was a brand new assistant principal,
Mm-hmm.
just entering the world of leadership. I had a leader. Her name was Susan Borg, and she said, "You have two eyes, two ears, one mouth." And I was like, is that shade? But I did a deeper dive. Two eyes, two ears, one mouth. So we should speak and listen and hear proportionately. Our audience is telling us everything that we need to know. And I even give an example sometimes where if a husband and wife are arguing and the husband says, and the wife is complaining about, "I don't know if you love me." And the husband says, "I love you." Or, "I love you. I love you. I love you." There's a difference. It's
Mm-hmm.
the intonation.
Now, I think that you're also implying that our body language must be aligned with our verbals.
Absolutely.
So, what happens to others when they see a discrepancy between what we say and what we do?
It creates mistrust. It creates mistrust because they can look at you and gauge that things are not aligned.
Mm.
So it begins to sow those seeds of doubt. And you as the leader are always seeking that credibility. And the
Mm-hmm.
people that you're leading need you to be a credible leader.
Mm-hmm.
They're counting on you to be that person that they can put their trust in, because that's the role that they're seeking for you to serve in.
Well, what do we do with someone who is in a leadership position or someone who aspires to be in a leadership position when just by nature, just by chance, there is a misalignment between what the person says and the body language that the person uses? What do we do with such a person?
So coaching is what I do for a living. And so we can coach them through that. We can put them through a program of being able to take a look at situational awareness. And that is where you are aware of your environment. You're aware of how you're being perceived. I remember my mentor coming by. My mentor was my dissertation chair,
Mm-hmm.
and I was a young, brand new principal. And he said, "Come on, take a walk with me." And I was like, "I don't have time to take a walk with you. I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm busy." And he said, "Oh, Michelle, you're looking so old. Just come take a walk with me through your building." And I was like, "I don't have time. I don't have time." So I picked up my radio. I picked up my notebook. I picked up my clipboard. He said, "Put all that stuff down and come and walk with me." Went in the hallway and he said, "Now just smile." I smile. I don't have time to, are you serious? He said, "Just smile. You have a beautiful smile. Use your smile." I smiled, and I tell everyone that I get a chance to coach, a shift happened. My building was never the same. They needed me. They didn't need me to be holding my clipboard, holding my radio I'm going to age myself, holding my BlackBerry. They didn't need that. I needed that because it made me feel in control. So I had to let that go and give them Michelle.
Boy, I have a lot of questions. What do we say? See, you almost implied that as a new administrator, your attitude was, I got to be the hammer here. I got to make sure I got everything in order. I got everything in control. And your concern was if you smile. This is me interpreting. Your concern was if you smiled, it might indicate weakness
Or even being lackadaisical.
or lackadaisical,
That I wasn't
or
taking,
yeah, or not being prepared, not
yes,
being an authority figure that you would and should be.
yes. I didn't think I had the luxury at the time to just be enjoying the position.
Hmm.
I really felt like I had earned that position through hard work and grit and discipline and structure, and that I was going to model the need for structure and being in control and being aware of everything and making sure that no deadlines were missed and that every I was dotted and every T was crossed.
Hmm.
And that was my misnomer.
Hmm.
They needed me.
Hmm.
They
Well,
literally needed me.
they get strength from strength and security from your smile.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Another topic related to body language, cultural competence.
Yes.
What do we do when we communicate across cultures?
Yes. We have to be sensitive and we have to be listening. We have to do the research. We have to seek out our coaches. For me, I was very fortunate that I had just an incredible secretary. She wasn't my secretary initially, but she became my secretary. She had been a teaching assistant. I observed her. She was professional. She was very renowned in the community. And so she was the person that helped me to navigate what was important, what holidays were important. So you think culture, you think climate, and culture is our celebrations. It's what's important to us. It's what matters. It's how we speak. And so at the time, I have a mother that was, my mother has since passed, but I have a mother that was bilingual. So I had learned just enough Spanish to be able to introduce myself. So I was very nervous because I didn't want to speak Spanish and speak inappropriately or mispronounce words. And she said, "Oh no, I was Dr. Cloud at the time. She said, Dr. Cloud, just your willingness to express yourself in the language that most parents understand is going to be appreciated." And so she would sit with me and we would rehearse my introductions. And then I would go into English for the rest of it and I would have a translator. And so she explained to me language, right? Language, foods, try the foods, bring in the foods that we enjoy, bring in the music, honor the holidays. For instance, Mother's Day. So Dia de las Madres is very important in the culture that I was a principal. So we
Okay.
celebrated Mother's Day and we celebrated Dia de las Madres.
Mm-hmm.
So that all of those historical and important celebrations were honored.
And all that is part of the three C's: communication, credibility, and culture.
Absolutely.
I have plenty more questions on our first bullet, but we
Yeah.
have four more bullets, and I'm watching the clock. So, which topic would you like to cover next? Mechanisms, strategies, resilience, structures.
Let's try mechanisms.
Okay.
So this is so simple, David. It's a simple strategy that I received, and I want to say her name was Ida Thomas. A principal can simply take a sheet of paper. I'm going to take a sheet of paper. And when they have a meeting, they can have uh, their teachers, administrators at the very top say, what's working? Another line, what's not working? And then suggestions. At the end of, if they need to do a pulse check. And what is a pulse check? A pulse, just like we have a pulse, every school has a pulse. And something as simple as that, it's open ended, it's not a gotcha, it's a I need to know. And I would get these, I would do this maybe 4 times a year, and I would know what's working so that I could have something to celebrate with the administrative team and let them know that they were doing a great job. And then what's not working, I needed to know. So I would have that. And then the suggestions. And what I would do is do my due diligence to implement those suggestions and then circle back when I would do the next survey. But I would call it the principal pulse check. Very simple. There's not a Google Doc involved. There's not a lot of technology involved. There's no data sheets to decipher. A piece of paper, what's working, what's not working, what suggestions do you have?
Uh-huh.
And that gives voice, it gives equity of voice. If a person wants to disclose their name, they can.
Mhm.
If they don't want to, they don't have to.
Mhm.
And the leader is informed.
Now, could you elaborate more on climate and culture mechanisms? Excuse me, mechanisms and tools to gauge school climate and culture. Could you speak more about climate and culture?
So culture is how you do things. It's how it's like a demographics group culture. But culture is all those things that are important. What are our celebrations? What's our language? How do we speak? For instance, for me as a principal, it was the classroom norms, the classroom rules were written in positive terms. We will pay attention. We will respect everyone. We will be proud citizens of our campus. All positive and not using negative words. It student engagement, that we use sentence stems, that we speak in complete sentences, that we walk down the hallway in a manner that shows that we respect our campus, that we have as a principal Bobcat pride or whatever the different uh, the whatever the focus is or whatever we call ourselves. So that would be the culture of a building. It's the language, the celebrations, what's important, all of those things. And then climate is just like climate here at my home or here in Houston. Right now it's sunny. So it's how things feel. And so climate is how, and it's a perception. It's how are people perceiving that things are in this building? Is it happy? When I walk, if I'm a person that is walking into a campus and I park my car and I go in the building, am I greeted with a hi, it's so nice to have you here at my campus, or sign in real quick, I'm gonna be with you. That's climate. That's how I feel. Do I feel greeted? Do I feel like the person was ingratiating, or do I feel as if
Mhm.
they don't want me in the building? All
So,
of
when
these
you
things are
were
climate.
surveying, your questions surrounded those topics, climate and
Yes.
culture. Okay.
The survey that I would give is that principal post check would gauge those things,
Hmm.
both of those. Yes.
Hmm. And the suggestions, how would you address the suggestions, particularly regarding climate and culture?
So, given the what we would do at the end of receiving all of them is my team and I, the A team, the admin team,
Hmm.
we would take a look at the surveys as they came in, and we would do almost a trend data analysis. So,
Okay.
what came up constantly? So, it might come up with we want to wear jeans more than on Fridays, and so that's easy. So, if I have 50 teachers and 33 want to wear jeans more than on Fridays, I can give you a jean day if that's going to make the campus feel as if they're being listened to, and
Hmm.
that's an accommodation that will make the job easier. We can
Hmm.
have another casual day.
Hmm.
And so I can align it with maybe college t-shirt day. And so we'll take Wednesday now and we'll wear our college shirts and we'll wear our jeans on that day.
Okay.
So that's how we would determine. And there are some things that would come up and we could do them quickly. Some of those things we had to give some thought to.
Hmm. Believe it or not, we are really running out of time here.
Oh no,
We have like 3 minutes remaining.
I
No,
can't
5 minutes
believe
remaining.
that.
So, okay, we have three more topics: strategies,
Okay,
resilience, structures. Where would you like to go next?
let's do resilience.
Okay, resilience and self-reflective practitioner best practices. I'm sure you have a lot to say about
I
that.
have a lot to say about that. It's so important that we as leaders take the time to reflect, and that's sometimes that's the drive home. Just each day, just I do a protocol called glows, grows, and ahas. So after every meeting, I debrief with new leaders what worked, what didn't work, what questions do you have? If you have questions, do some additional research, just like I had to do with communication. So glows, grows, ahas.
Glows, grows, ahas.
Yes.
And what would be ahas?
Ahas are those things that you just didn't even know were going to come up. Like all of a sudden, the next time I have a meeting with this group, I better have an agenda. I
Okay.
better have a timer going.
Okay. So it's like a lesson learned, would you say? Okay.
Yes.
The next
Yes.
time I do this, I will add this or not do this or so on.
Yes.
This is a lesson learned from that. Okay.
Yes.
And what about resilience? You know, I take it you're connecting self-reflection with resilience, meaning that in
Yes.
order to achieve some resilience, one must reflect.
Yes. And you have to be gentle with yourself. You have to give yourself grace. To whom much is given, much is required in leadership, and leaders are needed. And if you take on that role, it's incumbent upon you to extend grace to yourself.
Hmm.
And if you make a mistake, if you err, where can you adjust so that when
Hmm.
it comes up again, you can make a different decision?
Now, I hear a lot of people talking about self-care. Then I heard something recently that said self-care is not enough. It's not. It's not the real thing we want to do. We want to do something deeper than that. So, what are your thoughts on self-care?
I think it's vital. I encourage leaders to have a wellness budget. I even in my coaching have leaders develop a SMART goal around it so that their cups are full. I truly believe that once a person is exhausted, that there is burnout, and I believe that it impacts the organization in a horrible way. And so, self care, wellness is critical so that they can do the job. And I think they need to model that.
Mhm.
As a young principal, I was somewhat not in alignment with self care. And I noticed my folks, the people who were I supervised, trying to work as I was working. And when I adjusted that, I noticed a marked difference. We were able to have a joy factor. I
Mhm.
also emphasize that in my coaching. There has to be some joy and levity to the work.
Well, how do you define wellness?
So, wellness are those things that keep you whole, keep you grounded, keep you focused, keep you energized. If for a leader to walk into work and they have a grimace and they're exhausted and they're short, that's going to be a miserable building because that energy is going to emanate from that leader all through the organization. And so that's what I define as wellness, that they
Hmm.
have a sense of wholeness. And it's not that they're leaving every day at 3 o'clock and
Right.
getting there late and coming in with a latte and taking time during the day to have a moment of zen and going and have a 3 hour lunch. It's balance. It's what do they need to do to take care of their physical needs, eat well, bring a lunch,
Hmm.
go to the restroom,
Hmm.
drink water,
Hmm.
have some almonds, have some fruit, um, bring in lunch maybe once a week, a good lunch, maybe
Hmm.
order in some salads,
Hmm.
leave 2 days on time and go
Hmm.
exercise.
Mm.
Go on Saturday. Don't get on your phone and go to dinner with your family.
Hmm.
Those are the kinds of things.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I was curious as to your what you would include as wellness, because just recently I had a conversation with someone who said she starts her morning with meditation
Yes.
and then exercise, yoga in particular,
Hmm.
and that was the route to wellness.
Yes.
Yeah. Boy, oh boy, we have half a minute remaining.
Oh, I
we
can't
have,
believe it.
and we've touched only three of the topics.
Yes.
So, if there were a takeaway you would like people to have from the things that we've discussed today, what would the takeaway be, Michelle?
The biggest one is the two eyes, two ears, one mouth. You know, it's so important for us when we're in leadership positions to really be observant
Mm-hmm.
and to really take in everything that's happening within the organization and our people and
Mm-hmm.
respond accordingly. I believe in my heart that if we are in leadership positions, that those are positions that we've earned and we have the skill set to be able to respond properly.
Mm-hmm. And what do you want people to do with this? What's the call to action?
So the call to action is to operate in excellence and to take the role of leadership very seriously
Mm-hmm.
and understand that all of our actions impact the entire organization.
Mm-hmm. And of course, of the five topics we've had, we touched only three, and probably could go deeper into the three that we've touched. If people want to know more, how do they contact you?
If they would like to know more, they can absolutely contact me at about.me/consult Dr. Michelle. I'm available for one-on-one coaching and campus visits.
Well, Michelle, it's been great having you here as our guest. Michelle
Thank
Fennick,
you.
PhD, Field Supervisor, Lamar University, and CEO of Consult Dr. Michelle, LLC in Houston, Texas. It's a pleasure having you here, and I look forward to seeing you again, whether
Thank
it's
you.
whether it's online like this or in person. Maybe I'll see you at the next conference where you will be giving a presentation and everyone will be fanning over you.
Awesome. I love it, David. Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, this has been fun, and I've got a lot of buttons I got to click to get us off the air. There we go.